The vibration of the burner phone on your cheap wooden nightstand sounds like a jackhammer in the dead silence of your studio apartment. It is 3 in the morning. The air is thick with the oppressive humidity of a Tokyo summer, but you feel a cold sweat trickling down your spine. You do not check the caller ID. There is only one number programmed into that heavy, encrypted brick of plastic and metal. You press the green button, bring the receiver to your ear, and wait. You do not say hello. You do not ask who is calling. You just breathe, waiting for the coordinates. A gruff, muffled voice spits out an address in the upscale district of Minato, followed by a single word, heavy. Then the line goes dead. You sit on the edge of your mattress, staring at the blank wall. You are not a killer. You do not extort local businesses. You do not traffic narcotics. You do not carry a weapon, and you do not wear the intricate, full-body Irizumi tattoos that mark the men you work for. Yet, you are arguably the most essential cog in the Yakuza's sprawling, silent machinery. You are the eraser. You are the ghost they summon when the violence inevitably boils over and the harsh reality of spilled blood sets in. Your job is to ensure that whatever nightmares occurred in that room are wiped from the face of the earth, leaving behind nothing but the sterile, blinding scent of industrial bleach and ozone. You dress quickly, slipping into nondescript, dark clothing. You grab your keys and head down to the underground parking garage where your unmarked white cargo van is waiting. The back of the van is your mobile laboratory, meticulously organized with plastic bins, so heavy-duty biohazard bags, industrial-grade enzyme cleaners, hydrogen peroxide solutions, ozone generators, and specialized ultraviolet lights. Driving through the neon-drenched streets of Tokyo at this hour feels like navigating through a dream. The city is asleep, ignorant of the shadow economy functioning right beneath its surface. You pull up to the service entrance of a towering luxury high-rise. 2 men in sharp, tailored suits are smoking by the loading dock. They do not look at you. They do not acknowledge your presence. One of them simply flicks his cigarette into a puddle and swipes a keycard over the service elevator reader. The doors slide open. You load your heavy equipment carts in complete silence. You know the rules. Never make eye contact. Never ask for names. Never, under any circumstances, just look closely at the faces of the people who hire you. You are a tool, no different from the mop in your bucket, and tools do not have a voice. Stepping into the penthouse apartment, the first thing that hits you is not the visual horror, but the smell. It is a thick, metallic stench of oxidized copper mixed with the sharp, acidic tang of terror and voided bowels. It is the scent of human life abruptly and violently ending. The apartment is a masterpiece of modern minimalist design, white leather sofas, glass coffee tables, and pristine oak hardwood floors. Or at least it was. Now, it is a canvas of chaotic, crimson violence. You do not look at the shape of the stains. You do not try to piece together the narrative of the struggle. Was he running? Was he begging? Did they corner him near the panoramic window overlooking the Tokyo Tower? You force those questions out of your mind. If you start seeing the victims as people, you will break. You must view the room strictly as a complex chemical and physical problem that requires solving. You step into your white, disposable Tyvek suit, pulling the hood over your head. You snap 2 layers of thick nitrile gloves onto your hands and strap a heavy twin-cartridge respirator over your face. The outside world disappears, replaced by the rhythmic, Darth Vader-like sound of your own breathing. The machinery of the underworld relies entirely on your perfection. The men in the tailored suits operate under the illusion of absolute power, but that power is fragile. A single drop of blood left behind the baseboards. A single microscopic fragment of bone wedged in the grout of the bathroom tiles. Or a solitary hair trapped in the air conditioning vent is all it takes to bring down an entire syndicate chapter. Forensics in this country boast a conviction rate of over 99%. The Yakuza knows this. They do not pay you for your discretion. They pay you for your obsessive, almost clinical paranoia. You begin the process. First, the gross removal. You carefully pick up the larger, solid remnants of the incident, placing them into thick, red biohazard bags. You use specialized plastic scrapers that will not scratch the expensive flooring. You work with a mechanical rhythm, sweeping up shattered glass, overturned ashtrays, and the grim, unmistakable debris of human tissue. Next comes the chemical warfare. Standard bleach is useless here. It merely masks the surface and can actually set bloodstains into porous materials. You use advanced proprietary enzyme digesters. You spray the foaming white chemical across the oak floors and watch as it violently reacts with the proteins in the blood, bubbling and hissing as it literally eats the biological matter at a microscopic level. As you scrub the floors, your mind invariably drifts back to how you ended up trapped in this invisible prison. You were an accountant. A normal, boring, unremarkable man who made a catastrophic miscalculation. A mounting gambling debt at an underground pachinko parlor run by the wrong people led you to a loan shark. When the interest compounded beyond your ability to pay, they did not break your legs. They offered you a choice. You could lose your fingers and your life, or you could work off the debt by cleaning up their messes. You chose the mop, thinking you were choosing survival. You thought it would be a temporary arrangement. Just a few months, you told yourself, but the system is not designed to let you go. The debt never truly shrinks. The interest is mathematically impossible to beat. Furthermore, the deeper you sink into their world, the more of a liability you become. You have been inside the homes of rival bosses, corrupt politicians, and high-ranking executives. You have erased the evidence of assassinations that made the national evening news. You are entirely owned by the clan. You exist in a state of suspended animation, a ghost haunting the spaces between the living and the dead. You move to the living room wall, spraying a luminol substitute and killing the overhead lights. Under the beam of your ultraviolet flashlight, the wall illuminates with a horrifying, glowing splatter pattern. It reveals exactly where the arterial spray hit the drywall, tiny glowing droplets extending all the way up to the ceiling. It will take hours to scrub this down to the primer, repaint it, and blend it perfectly with the surrounding pristine white. You climb the stepladder, your shoulders burning with lactic acid, your hands cramped inside the double gloves. It is grueling, exhausting physical labor, devoid of any glory. You are essentially a highly specialized janitor for sociopaths. As you wipe down the expensive leather sofa, your hand brushes against something hard wedged deep between the cushions. You freeze. Your breath hitches in your throat, catching the heavy rubber of the respirator. You pull your hand back slowly, holding the object up to the dim light. It is a heavy, gold signet ring. It is coated in dried, sticky blood, but you can clearly see the intricate, customized engraving of a rival Yakuza clan's crest. This is the trap. This is the moment the machinery grinds to a halt and the cold, suffocating grip of true paranoia takes hold of your heart. The men outside did their sweep. They are supposed to remove all personal effects, all identifying markers of the victim before you arrive. They missed this. They made a mistake. And in the underworld, witnessing a mistake made by dangerous men is a death sentence. Your mind races, cycling through 1,000 terrifying scenarios in the span of a single heartbeat. If you hand the ring over to the men waiting downstairs, you are exposing their incompetence. They might decide that you know too much, that you saw something you shouldn't have. And that silencing you is easier than admitting their error to the boss. If you keep the ring and dispose of it yourself, and they realize later that it is missing and suspect you took it to pawn or use as blackmail, they will hunt you down and torture you until you beg for death. If you just leave it there, the police might find it during a routine check, tracing it back to this room, and the syndicate will blame you for the sloppy cleanup. There is no right answer. There is no safe protocol for this. You are entirely alone, holding a piece of solid gold that feels heavier than an anvil. You slowly slip the ring into your deepest pocket. You will have to crush it, melt it down, and scatter the unrecognizable slag into the Tokyo Bay. It is the only way to ensure it ceases to exist, but the psychological damage is already done. The illusion of safety, the fragile belief that as long as you kept your head down and scrubbed hard enough, you would be left alone, is permanently shattered. You realize, with a sickening drop in your stomach, that you are not a ghost. You are a loose end. You are a sponge that has spent years soaking up the filth, the secrets, and the blood of Tokyo's most dangerous predators. And what happens to a sponge when it is too full of toxic waste? It is thrown away. You finish the room in a state of hypervigilance. Every creak of the building settling sounds like a footstep. The hum of the refrigerator sounds like a suppressed weapon being drawn. You set up the commercial ozone generator, filling the apartment with a gas that will neutralize any lingering organic odors, making the air smell like a sterile hospital corridor after a lightning storm. You pack your gear, your body aching, your mind fractured. You ride the service elevator down, walking past the two men in suits. They still do not look at you. You drive back to your apartment as the sun begins to rise over the concrete skyline, casting long gray shadows across the city. You carry the smell of the chemicals in your pores. No amount of scrubbing in your tiny moldy shower will ever wash it out. It is a permanent part of your biology now. You cannot date. You cannot maintain friendships. You cannot sit in a crowded restaurant without sizing up the exits and wondering if the men at the next table are carrying concealed blades. You are entirely isolated, cut off from humanity by the secrets you have erased. You lie on your mattress. And he's staring at the ceiling, waiting for the burner phone to vibrate again. You realize, with a quiet, profound melancholy, that you are living on borrowed time. You are meticulously cleaning up the ends of other people's lives, waiting for the inevitable night when someone else, wearing a white Tyvek suit and a heavy respirator, will be called to clean up yours. Is that all for today? The story you just heard is fiction, but the reality of organized crime cleanup crews operating under immense coercion happens every day. If this story made you think, leave a comment saying what your biggest takeaway was. Subscribe so you don't miss the next stories from the Underworld. Until next time.